Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another round of Bases Picks. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. Now look, thank you to everyone who tuned into the live yesterday where we did the undercard fights. So now it's nothing but main events. There's a couple to get through. So without further ado, let's get into the picks. Right, so to start off, we're going to kick it off with Callum Simpson against Ivan Zuko taking place at the Oakwell Stadium in Barnsley. Callum Simpson on the rise, very big, very tall guy for the 168 pound division. I can't lie though, it's been a very lackluster build up. It's one of those fight cards that if I wasn't in boxing in that sense and like covering it, I would have not even known it was happening. Literally, I've seen very minimal amounts of promotion for this fight. So, you know, for Sky being the quote unquote the big engine, the big machine of sports, yeah, I don't know, I think that tide might be turning a little bit. But just talking about the fight, look, Ivan Zuko 21-0 with 18 KOs. Now on paper it looks like a good record. You go through the list of opponents though, and the majority of his fights have been 6-rounders. Now 21 fights, I think of those 21 fights, 15 of them have been like 6-round fights. He's had, I think, 1 8-rounder, 4 10-rounders. Yeah, I think that's it. I think he's had 4 10-rounders, 1 8-rounder, maybe 2 8-rounders, and then obviously this fight here, his 22nd fight, will be like his first 12-round fight. Now he does have a win over Marko Nikolic, who Anthony Yard defeated back in 2024. Zuko actually beat him in 2022 and he did stop him. So I guess if you want to take some kind of comparison off of that, it's possible you can do so. I think that being at Oakwell, being in front of family, friends, and you know the crowd, I think that Callum Simpson is going to do very well behind the jab. I think he's going to try to pace himself and not get too involved with Zuko, who, regardless of anything else, is a very big guy. Just in, you know, big, strong, tough, and obviously again he's unbeaten. He doesn't know what it's like to lose. He's not going to want to lose. However, just based on the level of opposition that they've faced, even Callum Simpson at this quick interval of his career, is for the European title, so it's going to be a difficult fight, and so it should be. But I think it's only going to be difficult in the first half. I do think Callum Simpson is going to control him down in the middle stretch and basically try to just outpace and outlast the fight in the last rounds without trying to go too gung-ho. I do think Zuko is a strong, tough opposition. I don't think this fight is going to end in a stoppage, but I do think Callum Simpson will get the victory, and I think it will be via a unanimous decision. So yesterday on the video, I did give my prediction for Ferreira versus Ferreira, or I should say Ferreira versus Ferreira, and I'm not going to go too much into it, but ultimately I do think that even though Ines Ferreira has 11, I think she's 11-0-1 with 6 KOs, so 50% KO ratio in all of her fights. Beatrice may only be 6-0-2 KOs, but I think she's the better boxer, more skilled, more aggressive. I do think she's going to win the fight. I think she may actually get the stoppage towards the end of the fight because Ferreira herself does come forward and like to throw, and I think because of that, that will create openings for Beatrice to be able to land, and when she does land, she is very spiteful. So I do see her getting a very late stoppage, I think about around 9, but if that doesn't happen, it will be a unanimous decision victory. Okay, so look, I'm not actually going to do these in chronological order. The next fight we're going to talk about is Jai Opetaia versus Claudio Squayo. And the reason I want to talk about this one is not even necessarily about the matchup itself, because Jai Opetaia is the apex predator of the cruiserweight division. That's not to say he can't ever be beaten, but it's going to take only the topper guys of that division to do it. I in anticipation for this fight, tried to do some Google, tried to do some YouTube to look for some footage of Claudio Squayo. I found some, and to say that he is poor is probably a disrespect to the word poor. Like, he does have two good things going for him. Number one, he is strong and tough, yeah, and he seems to be able to throw punches in bunches for quite a long period of time. Now, I've not seen enough of the fights to know if he ever like fades down the stretch or anything, because a lot of the footage that they showed was on fights that ended quite early, but you know, inside maybe the first 3 to 6 rounds. But when he throws his punches, he does have a decent like hook upstairs, hook to the body combination that I saw him do. But outside of that, a lot of it is just winging shots in from the side, winging them wide, like no defense while doing it, just sort of barreling forward. Even when walking forward, hands are always sort of down by the chest. They're not even up by the chin like what Mike Tyson used to do. They're sort of just tucked in here. And everything about it just said that he's going to run into a big shot and it's going to be early. In my predictions league, I said I think Jai gets him out of there in 5 rounds because he's, you know, small, squat, like tough guy. But honestly, what I saw in that footage tells me that he's going to run into shots from early and it could be over in the first or the second round. And it's funny, when the fight was initially made, I know that it was a point of, you know, it's a keep busy fight and everything, but I think this fight is actually pay-per-view in Australia. I've looked at some of the opponents that some of the other people on the card have had, and I spoke about this yesterday on the live. But when you look at the people that are in the IBF rankings, you've got people like Ivan Garbu, you've got Leonardo Mosqueo, who beat Chev Clark for the European title. You've got Mateus Masternak. You've even got, what's his name? Papin. Is it Daniel Papin? Like there was a bunch of names there where people would at least know more who they are. Now, I don't understand. Oh, okay. I think I do understand, because you don't really want to take a risk when you don't need to. But even in terms of just putting on a show or giving a credible opponent, you know, for someone of Jai's caliber, I don't see why it was so difficult to get someone that was higher up in the rankings that, you know, people know on the world stage. Like I said, Mosquero would have been perfect because people just saw him on the Monte Carlo card beat a highly touted British prospect or British contender. You know, Mateus Masternak, people know him by Chris Billum Smith, so who could do it better? There's even, you know, other guys, if anything, you could even just look to get someone that spoke English. So at least that way you can have a bit of a fun build-up. The build-up to the fight itself, it hasn't really caught fire. Now, granted, I'm on the other side of the world, so maybe in Australia it's actually gone down really well. I'm not sure, and I won't, you know, I'm not disrespecting sort of that in itself, but Jai deserves better competition than this, even if it is a quote-unquote a keep busy, especially considering that this, they've been saying, is his, you know, his farewell fight for some time to Australia, when he goes off to chase the bigger, better things elsewhere, whether that's Saudi, the States, the UK, whatever. So if that's the case, like, get them someone that's actually gonna make it a show. Like the Naika fight was good for that, you know, for obviously their own individual set. You could get something similar, but again, if someone who speaks English at least, you can kind of make a nice little build up out of it. I just feel like the card itself may be a fun card all the way through. I mean, I'll definitely be watching. I might try and do a little watch along for the last couple fights, but I just think for someone of Jai's talent, he shouldn't have been wasted on this. That's my opinion. I think he gets Squayo out of there inside 3 rounds. I said 5 on my predictions league. I'm saying inside 3 now. Anything more than that, truthfully, unless it's just a case where Squayo has just got a iron cast head and can just take shot after shot after shot, what I saw tells me this is going to be an early night, and I know Jai doesn't take anyone lightly, so when those shots are there to be taken, he will take them. Right, next we're going to talk about the businessman Keyshawn Davis and Edwin De Los Santos. Now, unfortunately, at the time I am recording this, Keyshawn Davis missed weight. Not only did he miss weight, he missed weight by nearly 5 pounds, 4.3 pounds on the scales. He said he's not even going to bother try to take the weight off. He said he's outgrown the division. Now, Shakur Stevenson did something very similar to this at 130 pounds when he said he outgrew the weight. I said then, and this is coming from someone that's a big Shakur Stevenson fan, but I said, that's mad unprofessional. If you knew that you were struggling at the weight, you couldn't make the weight, you shouldn't have signed the fight. And more so than that, once you realized the weight weren't coming off the way it needed to come off, you call that fight off from early and give the person the opportunity to, you know, to decide if they want to take it. Because obviously if they've gone through fight week now and, you know, they've gone and made weight and all of a sudden you're over, are they really going to want to go through all that camp and to not get paid, to not have a replacement person possibly come in? So now Keyshawn, even if it was difficult for him to get the weight off, and he's like, oh, you know, I was up all night trying to get the weight off, I just couldn't do it, fine, but you're still going to be a lot fresher and a lot more invigorated with a lot more energy and less depletion in your body than he has. Even if, you know, you were say 3 pounds bigger than him naturally, kind of thing, well, there's still 1 pound extra there that you've got to play with that he didn't get to. And you know, him coming off of, like, what was it, a blood clot, I think, in his leg, 2 years basically out the ring since the Shakur Stevenson fight. See the both of them side by side, even at 139.4 pounds, Keyshawn Davis still looks mad bigger than Edwin De Los Santos. So I'm disappointed in Keyshawn. I understand if, you know, the weight gets tight, but in that case, like, don't take the fight. If you're saying that, you know, he said that he struggled from the Berenchek fight and he kind of knew from then it was time to move up. Okay, win the belt and move up. Like, why are you doing it? Because now you've got this natural unfair advantage. They're not going to put any rehydration clause on him for the next fight. He's going to go in there probably at like 158 to 160 pounds by the time you get there. De Los Santos will probably be about 151. Like, Keyshawn's literally going to run through him. De Los Santos is a big puncher, but he's also got a very leaky defense. And he's a guy that will also gamble. And he's also a guy that will throw when he's hurt. Keyshawn is going to demolish, dismantle, like, pick apart, hurt this guy. But at this point, it's unfair. And as much as I am a big fan of Keyshawn Davis, I can't accept this, considering the fact that he's already got prior behavioral issues with the, you know, the failed drugs test. Now, again, it was for marijuana, so it's not like, oh, he was on PEDs, but in the state that you was performing in, marijuana was illegal. You had marijuana in your system, hence one of your fights got turned to a no contest. Your record says 13-0 when it should say 14-0. Like, you lost the fight due to stupidity, unprofessionalism, whatever it may be. And now, again, no matter what happens in this fight, no matter how badly you beat up Edwin De Los Santos, the victory is tainted because he made weight and you didn't. It will be the same thing as Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. Devin Haney made the weight, Ryan didn't. So win or not, now the victory is tainted. And it's just a case of every time we feel like you've got an American superstar, someone that's on the cusp, getting ready to get there, it's like they've got a natural self-destruct switch in their head. It's actually getting very frustrating right about now. But look, this is a predictions video. This ain't about his behavior outside of that. So just going off of the predictions, as I said, De Los Santos is the guy that will throw when he's hurt, but he will also take chances that he shouldn't. And I think just because of that, Keyshawn being so much bigger than him and probably now being a lot more energized and less depleted, he's going to hurt him. In my predictions league, I had him down as winning like TKO in the 9th round. I'm going to drop that by about 4 to 5 now. I think he gets him out of there in the 4th or the 5th round. I think he's just going to be too big, too strong, hit too hard, and he's going to, it's not like he's going to show remorse. He's just going to go for it. So yeah, I feel bad for De Los Santos. He ain't winning that belt. He's going home with a beating, but it's a beating with an asterisk, and it's a beating I can't co-sign. Right, so next we've got Big Bang Junto Nakatani against Ryosuke Nishida. Now this is a unification bout taking place Sunday morning, so we've got to show it its ultimate amount of respect. But Junto Nakatani 30-0 with 23 KOs. I believe this is actually his first unification, which is crazy when you look at sort of the amount that he's done in his career. But finally he's getting to unify belts, and he won't make undisputed, which is, obviously at one point Inoue said, no, get undisputed and then we can run it. But I think this will probably be his last fight at bantamweight. He's a big guy, and this is probably extremely tough to make, and I doubt they're going to want to put his body through it again. So I think he will be moving up after this one. Now Ryosuke Nishida is not as big as Junto. He's more accustomed to the bantamweight limit. He can make it a lot more safely. 10-0, but he's only got 2 KOs. Now, here's the problem. Nishida he's a very good operator. He's got very good fundamentals. He does everything well. He's one of those guys that when you grade him along the curve, he's like a 7.5 across the board, maybe an 8 in some aspects. Really good fighter, very well schooled, very disciplined, very respectful to his craft. But he has no power. 10-0, 2 KOs. And while the last fight was a KO, it was almost like a KO of fortune more than anything else, if I'm going to look at it in that sort of way. He is, like I said, the power's not there, and because the power's not there, Junto Nakatani is going to take chances that he doesn't need to take, but he's going to take chances thinking that, okay, I will give you enough to hang yourself. But he's going to be throwing hot, and he's going to be throwing heavy, and it's going to be from early on. Now Nishida, like I said, he's good. He can protect himself. He's got very good fundamentals. So I can see him hanging in this fight, but I feel like from the 3rd round on, he's going to just be fighting an uphill battle with only his skills keeping him in the fight. He's going to be trying to fight Junto off, but for every shot that he throws, Junto will throw one back that buckles him or wobbles him. So he might even throw 3 or 4 shots. Junto will throw one in between the shots, and that's the shot that you notice, that's the shot that hurts. So Nishida might be racking up points, but Junto's racking up damage, and that's how I see the fight playing out. I do think that Junto Nakatani wins this fight. I think he's, like I said, too big, too strong, and he's not going to respect Nishida enough. I think it's going to be an early finish before the half. I can see sort of 3rd to 5th round. I mean, I could be wrong. It could be a barn burner. We could get a unanimous decision. But I think Nishida's got too much pride to just try to survive the fight. So I think he's gonna try to hope he can catch Junto with a one of those heavy shots when he's under the cosh. But I think in doing that, he's gonna promote and open up the opportunities for Junto to get that clean KO. And I do think it may be one of the most violent ones of the weekend. And last but not least, we've got Fabio Wardley taking on Justice Huni at Portman Road, Ipswich. I think they've already sold about 25 to 28,000 tickets. I think it's a 32,000 seater stadium, so pretty much you could say it's a sellout. Really good work by Fabio Wardley to get something, over to Ipswich. They've been begging for some big time events. They got one now. Now obviously it was supposed to be Jarrell Miller, who Fabio Wardley was facing initially. Very different proposition, pressure fighter, but gives you a lot of openings, a lot of chances to throw shots. Justice Huni is more of a quote-unquote boxer puncher, a bit more boxer than puncher. Very light on his feet for a big guy. He came in at 247 pounds. Fabio came in at 243, so similar weights. But I think that Justice has come in a little bit heavier to try to absorb the shots when they're coming in for the ones that he can't ride and the ones he can't slip. It would be interesting to see how long how long he can keep his feet moving and do his pivots, because one thing I do think is once he's able to sort of get in and out of range of Fabio, I feel like he will frustrate Fabio, pinging him from angles that Fabio isn't used to experiencing with the fighters that he's faced, because almost every fighter that he has faced has been more of a plodder, more of someone that will kind of stand in front of you or maybe give you an opportunity even off the ropes. Whereas Justice Huni is a bit more fleet-footed, is a bit more awkward on his angles, will sort of try to change the levels, and has got very fast hands, which Fabio hasn't yet fought someone with that hand speed. However, Justice Huni hasn't faced someone with the punching power of Fabio Wardley, or just that dogged, raw determination and aggression. Kevin Lerena may have had a big punch, but he didn't have a good engine. Now, Fabio hasn't got the best of engines, but Fabio has one of those, I like to call it the kill drive. He could be out on his feet, mad tired, can barely move, like looking like he's dying for oxygen. Catch you with one shot, all of a sudden that kill drive comes in, and he's got that charge of adrenaline, and he could throw 50-60 shots in that moment just to try and get you out. The whole energy dump just happens, and that is one of the sort of those intangible skills that Fabio has that you can't quite replicate, you can't train for in sparring. It's just there. A lot of people have spoken about Justice Huni and his questionable chin. Obviously he had that issue with Kevin Lerena switching off, getting caught with a very deep left hook from from a position he should have never been on. Sometimes his levels of concentration do dip. We now have all seen that infamous sparring footage that has all of a sudden been leaked of him getting knocked down in sparring. One thing he does have though, he does have good powers of recovery, because even when he's out on his feet and he's hurt, he manages to find a way to stem the tide, to protect himself, to not get knocked down or not get badly beat up, and be able to sort of compose himself and try to get himself back. And that's one thing I feel like, in terms of the two of them, this might sound a bit mad, but I feel as if Justice Huni can take punishment better, and by that I don't necessarily mean that you crack him once and he can ride the shot better than Fabio, but I feel like he's a person that if you put him under sustained pressure, I feel like he's more equipped to handle that in the moment than Fabio is. I think Fabio's got good heart, you buzz him, he gets angry and he will fire back. But I feel as if you catch him hard enough, or if you catch him in the barrage, he will be a kind of person who will almost tuck up and almost just wait for the barrage to be over before trying to throw something big. Whereas I feel like Justice Huni is a bit more of a person that will try to get on the inside, try to grab, try to slip, try to roll, maybe try to throw a shot out to his detriment. But I feel like he probably performs better under that punishment. So I reckon he's probably been in situations where he's been beat up more and has had to sort of bite down on the gum shield and be gritted. And I think that's more from sparring even than the fights, because him, Opetaia, and everyone else that seems to spar over there, they don't seem to do anything technical. It's all about all-out war. Let's see who lasts and who don't. But to be fair, that was Fabio's lot growing up as well. It was one of the things Dillian White traded on. He said everything here is gonna be difficult. Like, we're gonna see who's real and who can take the most. But getting into the fight, so I do think Justice has better fundamentals, better punch selection, better footwork, better movement, and I think he has a slightly better defense than Fabio. His parry game is a little bit better, but Fabio, I think, has better timing than him. He's got better explosivity, he's got that killer instinct, and I feel everyone knows he's got the better power. The question is, can he get that power into play quickly enough? Because my prediction is that in those first few rounds, especially knowing that unfortunately, Fabio's always got a target. Even though he says that, you know, the nose is fully healed, it's like everything's been done from the inside. It's just like it's a scarring that you can't really get rid of, but the nose is fine. I think the nose is going to be a target, and I think Justice is going to try to get Fabio to drop his hands. I think he's going to try and stab to the body to get Fabio's hands down, to try to throw up a straight right down the middle into the nose. I think that's going to be his target. He's going to try and aim for that nose as much as he can to get it to open up, to make Fabio then have to react, which then means he's going to try to dump his energy into a big salvo and possibly, you know, tire himself out, similar to kind of what he did in the middle to late rounds against Fraser Clark in the first fight. I do think at some point Justice is going to get himself in trouble, but I think it's going to be in the second half of the fight. He may switch off, or it may just be a case where he just gets caught in, you know, sort of in the exchange. Maybe Fabio might do the little hook down the hand, right, you know, sort of the right cross combo that he likes to do. And let's see if Justice can handle it. But I do think ultimately he will. I think he will get caught. I even think he might get dropped in this fight. But I do think he will manage to get up and survive that moment. But at the time when it happens, I think he will be comfortably ahead on the scorecards whenever it takes place. I also think he's going to hurt Fabio. I do think the nose is going to be an issue. And I think with the nose being an issue, I think there's going to be a moment where maybe Fabio doesn't hit the deck, but there might be a moment where they're looking at, should they stop this fight? But my prediction is that the fight will go the distance. I think this will be another fight that does see the final bell. And I think at the end of it, Justice Huni's hand will be raised, having just stayed ahead enough in the fight. Maybe even with Fabio trying to chase it down late, possibly making some mistakes and getting caught, or maybe even putting Justice under pressure and making Justice, you know, almost fall apart at the seams, but he just manages to hold it together enough to see the final bell and to see the victory. But that is my prediction. I've wrestled with my prediction for this fight for the last 5 days. It's not been an easy one for me to pick. At one point I had Justice winning by split decision, then I changed it to Fabio Wardley TKO in the 9th round. Then I changed it back to Justice on a unanimous. I even at one point changed it to Justice, I think, as a TKO in the 11th. But I've settled on Justice Huni to win this fight via points. I think in terms of heart, he's got the heart to survive a storm, but I think he's going to pose Fabio problems that Fabio hasn't experienced as a pro yet. He may have done in sparring, but sparring and the game's different. He's going to be faster. He's going to be, the punches may not be as hard, but they're going to be heavy enough. And ultimately, 4 of Justice's punches will still win him around over 1 of Fabio's if Fabio doesn't knock him down. And I think it's going to be literally about the volume of what lands in this fight, more so than how damaging each one is. But yeah, look, that's my opinion. Could be totally wrong. Leave yours down below. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, this was a very difficult one for me to pick, but that is the pick. That's the prediction. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. But for right now, it's Basis Picks. Locked.